Tonight, you're going to do something that would have gotten you killed 50,000 years ago. You're going to turn off the lights, close your eyes, and sleep straight through the night. And your body is going to fight you every single step of the way. Because deep inside your DNA, it remembers a completely different night. And what it remembers will change everything. Because tonight, you are going to learn something most people never think about. You were never designed to sleep through the night in one uninterrupted stretch. Right now, across the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, millions of people are awake at 2 a.m. They are lying in bed, scrolling on their phones, checking the clock again and again, thinking about work, relationships, money, mistakes from years ago, and things that might never even happen. And every single one of them is asking the same question in their head: what is wrong with me? So they try everything: sleep pills, melatonin gummies, magnesium supplements, meditation apps, sleep podcasts, white noise machines, blackout curtains, weighted blankets, anything that promises control over the night. But despite all of this, sleep problems are not going away. In fact, they are getting worse in New York, London, Los Angeles, Sydney, and Toronto, in the most advanced societies in human history. That should not make sense. We have perfect beds, perfect climate control, medical knowledge, and technology designed to help us sleep. Yet we are worse at sleep than ever before. Something deeper must be happening underneath modern life. Now imagine something extreme. No electricity, no glowing screens, no streetlights, no city noise, just complete natural darkness covering everything. For almost all of human history, night was not peaceful. It was dangerous. Because in total darkness, you are not the hunter anymore. You are the one being hunted. Every sound matters. Every shadow feels alive. Every movement could mean survival or death. The human nervous system evolved in this environment for hundreds of thousands of years, which means your brain today still carries survival wiring from a world that no longer exists. When the sun went down in that ancient world, life did not become calm. It became uncertain. There was no guarantee of safety until sunrise. That constant uncertainty shaped human biology at the deepest level. Then something happened that completely changed human history. Fire. Not just warmth, not just light, but control over darkness itself. For the first time, humans could push the night back instead of being consumed by it. And around that fire, something unexpected began to happen. The night stopped being only about survival and fear. It became social, emotional, and deeply human. People gathered together around the fire and began to talk. Stories began to form. Myths, jokes, memories, imagination, explanations for the stars, explanations for death, explanations for fear, and explanations for why the world felt the way it did. This was not entertainment like today. This was survival of the mind. Storytelling helped humans regulate fear, build emotional connection, and pass knowledge across generations in a world where nothing was written down. Some researchers believe this is the moment human cognition expanded dramatically, not in laboratories or schools, but in the glow of firelight while darkness surrounded everything beyond the small circle of safety. And if you think about it, every story you consume today still carries that origin. Every movie, every novel, every emotional scene, every podcast, every late night conversation, all of it traces back to humans sitting in the dark, trying to make sense of existence. But fire did something even more powerful than storytelling alone. It changed the structure of time itself. Before fire, the day ended completely when the sun disappeared. Human activity stopped, survival mode began, and night belonged entirely to uncertainty. But fire extended human life into darkness. It gave people extra hours that were no longer dedicated purely to survival. Hours for thinking, reflecting, planning, bonding, and simply existing without immediate danger. And once the brain feels safe enough, it begins to shift from reaction to imagination. Now, here is where the story becomes even more surprising. For most of modern history, we assumed humans always slept the way we do now. One long, continuous sleep from night until morning. But historical records tell a completely different story that most people have never heard. Across old European diaries, medical writings, legal documents, and personal letters written hundreds of years ago, researchers repeatedly found references to something unusual and consistent across cultures. Two phases of sleep. They were called first sleep and second sleep. People did not sleep in one continuous block. Instead, they would fall asleep shortly after sunset. Then, several hours later, they would naturally wake up in the middle of the night without alarm, without panic, and without thinking anything was wrong. And instead of feeling disturbed, they treated this time as completely normal. They would read by candlelight, pray, think deeply, talk softly with family, reflect on dreams, or simply lie in silence in a calm, reflective mental state where sleep pressure disappeared. Then, after 1 to 2 hours, they would return to a second sleep that lasted until morning. This pattern was not rare. It was widely documented across England, France, early America, and other regions for centuries. It was a normal human rhythm that shaped how entire societies experienced night. But over time, this knowledge slowly disappeared. Modern historians initially misinterpreted these references because segmented sleep did not match modern expectations, so the concept faded from public understanding. Until modern science decided to test something simple but powerful. What happens if humans are placed in complete natural darkness without artificial light for an extended period? In controlled sleep experiments, participants were removed from all modern lighting. No screens, no electricity, only long natural nights similar to ancient environments. At first, their sleep looked normal, but within days, something unexpected happened. Every participant began following the same pattern without instruction. They slept for a few hours, naturally woke up in the middle of the night, stayed calm and mentally stable, and then returned to sleep again. No one told them to do this. No one guided them. The body itself simply returned to an older rhythm embedded deep in human biology. And during that middle period of wakefulness, something even more interesting appeared. The brain entered a calm and steady state. Not anxious, not alert, not restless, but peaceful, reflective, and unusually clear. Participants described it as one of the most naturally calm states they had ever experienced. Not insomnia. Something older, something forgotten. Now, here is where most people miss the deeper truth. This middle night wakefulness was never meant to be a problem. In ancient life, this was actually a survival advantage. Early humans used this time to check fire, listen for danger, adjust sleeping positions, or simply observe their surroundings without pressure. In some anthropological studies of hunter-gatherer communities, researchers even found that this wakeful window was often used for quiet social bonding, emotional conversation, or silent awareness of the environment. It was a biological pause between two sleep cycles, not a malfunction. And here's where things become even more fascinating. Some historians have found references suggesting that in pre-industrial Europe, people believed dreams from the first sleep were more emotional and chaotic, while dreams from the second sleep were more structured and meaningful. They would wake up in the middle of the night and actually reflect on dreams before returning to sleep, almost like processing information in 2 stages instead of 1. Now contrast that with modern life. Your brain is constantly overstimulated until the moment you force yourself into bed. Your nervous system never fully transitions from high alert to natural wind down. Instead, it crashes. And then when you wake up at 2 a.m., your modern brain panics because it does not understand this ancient rhythm anymore. It labels it as insomnia, stress, anxiety, or disorder. But biologically, nothing is broken. What is happening is a mismatch between ancient wiring and modern lighting. And artificial light is the biggest disruptor of all. It began with firelight, then candles, then gas lamps, then electric bulbs, and now smartphones that emit bright blue light directly into your eyes at midnight. Your brain evolved under a system where darkness meant sleep and light meant wakefulness. So when you expose yourself to artificial light late at night, your brain receives a completely false signal. It is still daytime. Stay alert. This delays melatonin, fragments deep sleep cycles, and pushes your brain out of its natural rhythm. But here is the most important part. This system is not destroyed. It is only overridden. In studies where people are placed in natural environments with no artificial light for just 7 days, their sleep cycles begin to self-correct. Their bodies naturally return to earlier sunset sleep and earlier wake cycles without alarms or instructions, which proves something powerful. Your biology is still intact. It is not broken. It is just waiting for the right environment to activate it again. So tonight, if you wake up at 2 a.m., do not panic. Do not reach for your phone. Do not assume something is wrong with you, because maybe you are not broken. Maybe you are not malfunctioning. Maybe you are simply stepping into an ancient biological window that once belonged to every human who ever lived. A quiet pause between 2 sleeps. A rhythm older than cities, older than electricity, older than modern life itself. So just stay still, breathe slowly, and let the silence exist without resistance. Because it might not be a problem to fix, it might be a memory returning. And if this changed the way you see yourself, subscribe to Fire Free for more curious ancient human stories.